I'm Terri and I'm the Chief Executive of Eyesight Cornwall, but what you don't know about me is that I am also blind. Ten years ago, due to a very rare brain condition that I suffer with, literally overnight, with a flick of a switch, my eyesight was lost. And it was devastating. I think to start off with, when I went to my consultant to go and see him, and I'd really imagined in my head that he was going to give me these wonderful pair of glasses, or he was going to give me some kind of laser eye surgery, and I was really hopeful, and really went into that room with a skip in my walk, and he told me that there was nothing that they could do for my sight, and never will be able to, because of the rare condition that I suffer with. And I have to admit, I don't think it really hit me, probably for a couple of weeks. I couldn't understand it, and I didn't want to understand it, and I just couldn't. Why can't I have a pair of glasses? Why can't you do some sort of, why can't I have something? And it just absolutely blew my world apart. My son was only 3 years old at the time, and because obviously I was very poorly, I'd been suffering with this rare brain condition, and my life as I'd always known it, I've been a fiercely independent woman. I've always had perfect vision, 20/20, drove my own car, knew where I wanted to go in life and what I wanted to achieve, and literally it's like somebody pulling the rug straight from underneath your feet, and there's a realisation that your life is never quite ever going to be the same as what it was, and that's a very frightening process, and one that you grieve for and still do today. I have to admit, the first few weeks I actually barricaded myself in my bedroom, and it got to a point where my mum came upstairs to me and she said, and I'll never forget it, and she said, you can either sit here and be miserable and make everybody miserable around you, she said, or downstairs, she said, you've got a little boy, she says, that all he wants is his mum, and whether you've got sight, you haven't got sight, you've got 2 heads, 6 legs, it makes no difference. You need to get up, brush yourself down, and start being a mum to that little boy downstairs. And of course I shouted at my mum, I told her to get out of the room, and how could she speak to me like that? But actually I'll never actually forget that point, because it was a turning point for me, that I had to start moving forward, and she was right. I'd got a 3-year-old that desperately needed his mum, and at that point I wasn't there for him at all. My mental photo of Ethan is as being a 4-year-old, and of course now he's a young strapping, nearly 14 years old, and even though I can hear his voice has changed, and you can hear changes, but I can't actually see him and really see the young man that he is turning into. And to me, it'll always be, I know parents always say it, but for me, literally, he will always be my little baby, because that's the real image of Ethan that is there. That's what I remember. Eyesight Cornwall is, and still is, a lifeline to me. It's what helped me to regroup, learn a lot more about visual impairment, and it's given me the confidence to go out and still try and do things that I used to do at home, my family life, my son, it really has been a lifeline for all of us. If somebody had told me 8 years ago, when I lost my eyesight, that today I would be the chief executive of this absolutely fantastic organisation that I am very humbled and I feel very privileged to be a part of, and knowing that the decisions and the things that we do as an organisation actually goes on and it helps other people, talking about our own experiences, new ways that we find to do things, sharing that. And as I've always said with sight loss, actually it's not the huge things that make a difference. It is the very little things that allow us each day to just gain that little bit more of independence. So anybody out there, I mean, obviously I'd like you to come to our organisation, because we are there, and you know, there is lots of help out there, and we genuinely care. We've got a very professional, dedicated team around us that we all have the same passion and the same goal, and that really is to inspire the futures of people living with sight loss.